7th graders. So I'm still in my pajamas, and I ordered McDonald's today. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. But I'm still excited. I'm going to talk to you guys about 12th night. We're doing scenes 4 and 5 today. I also want to let you guys know next week is going to be our last week of 12th night content because the week after that, grades are due for teachers on Friday the 22nd. So I'm going to do your last week of content will be next week. And then the week after that, I'll have a writing assignment, like a letter assignment for you guys. And that'll be it. So we're almost done. So I'm going to talk about the scenes that I wanted you to look at today. So we are on Act 1, scenes 4 and 5. So in scenes 4 and 5, we're starting to recognize the love triangle that is happening between Olivia, Viola, and Orsino. And all their names start with like an O or like have a V or some sound. So it's very confusing. But that is what we're looking at right now. So let me go ahead and pull it up. I have scenes 4 and 5 on the same document. There are just questions in red, and you just have to answer the questions in red. So let's go and talk about scene 4. So it starts with Valentine. He's just one of the Duke's friends. I put he's like one of the Duke's like BFFs. Valentine starts out, and he says, "If the Duke continue these favors towards you, Cesario," which is Viola's disguised name, "you are like to be much advanced. He hath known you but 3 days, and already you are no stranger." So Valentine is like, wow, like Orsino really likes you. It's only been 3 days, but you guys are like best friends. And Viola says, "You either fear his humor or my negligence, that you call in question the continuance of his love. Is he inconstant, sir, in his favors?" So Viola says, "Interesting. Jealous." But then she says, "Is he reliable in his feelings, or does he like flip-flop and have mood swings?" And Valentine says no, like he's a very honest person in his feelings. So Viola, disguised as a boy, and Orsino are like BFFs, and Valentine is like, that is so strange. So he thinks that's kind of weird. And then Duke Orsino enters, and he says he is basically sending Cesario on the mission. The whole mission is that Cesario is going to go talk to Olivia because Orsino is in love with her. So Orsino says, "Stand you a while aloof, Cesario. Thou knowest no less but all. I have unclasped to thee the book even of my secret soul." So he's like, I've told you everything, like all about my feelings. Like you and I are like bro bond, like BFFs. He says, "Therefore, good youth, address thy gate unto her. Be not denied access, and at her doors, and tell them, there thy fixed foot shall grow till you have audience." So he basically is like, you need to go talk to Olivia and do not take no for an answer. So he's like, you need to get in there. And of course we know from the next scene, Viola does that. So she literally refuses to leave. So she does what she's asked. She says, "Sure, my noble lord, if she be so abandoned to her sorrow as it is spoke, she never will admit me." So Viola says, "Well, her dad and her brother died, so if she's mourning, there's no way she's gonna let me in." Duke Orsino says, "Be clamorous and leap all civil bounds rather than make unprofited returns." So Orsino is like, you need to be rude and pushy. So he says, leap all civil bounds. So he's like, any normal person would not bother someone in mourning, but you're gonna have to bother her. Do not come back without doing what I'm asking you. So Viola's like, oh God. So Viola says, "Say I do speak with her, my lord. What then?" So she's like, what's the point? Like, what do you think is going to happen? Duke Orsino says, "Oh, then unfold the passion of my love. Surprise her with discourse of my dear faith. It shall become me well to act my woes. She will attend it better in thy youth than in nuncios of more grave aspect." So Orsino's like, "Well, you're young and cute, and she'll probably listen to you. You're very persuasive." He's like, "Just tell her how much I love her." And Viola's like, Viola says, "I don't think she's gonna listen to me." And Orsino says, "Dear lad, believe it, for they shall yet believe thy happy years that say thou art a man. Diana's lip is not a blah blah blah." So he's basically like, no, you can do this. And Viola's like, I'll do my best. But the important part is right at the bottom, before you get to my questions, right at the end of the scene, Viola has an aside. An aside is when a character is talking, not to anyone in particular, they're talking to themselves. And asides are when only the character speaking is hearing it. So basically Viola's talking to herself. She's not talking to anyone in particular, but we as the audience can hear her. So aside, she says, "Yet a barful strive, whoe'er I woe, myself would be his wife." So she says that she is interested in him. she likes him. So she says, well, I wish I was his wife and I wasn't wooing someone else. So she likes him. So the questions that I have you guys ask is, what is the plan made? What is Orsino asking Cesario to do? How does Viola feel by the end of the scene? And if you had to describe Orsino and Viola to someone who asked, what would you say? So now that we know about them a little bit, how would you describe them? Scene 5 is definitely a lot longer. We're introduced to Maria, who is Olivia's BFF. They are hanging out at the house while Olivia is in mourning. Malvolio is another member of her household, so he's been there. I think he used to be a suitor, but he's not anymore, so he just kind of hangs out at the household. Malvolio realizes that there's a young man at the door, and we know who it is. It's Cesario, Viola in disguise. In Malvolio, you can see you can't really see it, but I highlighted it in yellow, the way Malvolio describes Cesario. He says, not yet old enough for a man, nor young enough for a boy. As a squash is before 'tis a peas cod, or a cooling when 'tis almost an apple. 'Tis with him in standing water between boy and man. He is very well favored, and he speaks very shrewishly. One would think his mother's milk were scarce out of him. So he's confused because Cesario looks young, but he knows he isn't. Like, he knows that he is grown, but he looks super young. It's because Cesario is a girl. So he's describing Cesario, and he's like, he looks really young, but it's because Cesario is a girl. So he's confused why he doesn't really look like a man, even though he clearly is old enough. He's like, what is going on? So it's funny because he's like, he looks young, but he's not young, and it's because he's a girl. So finally, Viola is allowed to enter. Olivia puts her veil over her face, and this is kind of old-fashioned, but some people still do it. When you're in mourning, or also when you're a single female, you keep a veil over your face. So she is veiled, and then Viola comes in. Viola says, most radiant, exquisite, and unmatchable beauty, I pray you, tell me if this be the lady of the house. So she's saying, are you who I am looking for? And then Olivia finally says, yes, I am the lady of the house. So they keep talking, and Viola is trying to talk to her about how much Orsino is in love with her. And then eventually Olivia unveils so that Viola can see her face, and Viola's like, excellently done, if God did all, and she's like, oh, like, you're so beautiful, blah blah blah. And then Olivia asks, how does he love me? So Viola disguises Cesario. She says all these beautiful things about how much Orsino loves her, but it's all coming from Cesario. So Olivia starts to get a little confused in her heart. They keep talking. Olivia says, your Lord does. Olivia says, your Lord does know my mind. So she's like, Cesario, he knows I'm not interested in him. So she says, and I cannot love him, yet I suppose him virtuous, known him noble, of great estate, of fresh and stainless youth. So he says, your Lord is cute and rich and noble, and he's a good person. So he's like, he's not a bad person. And she says, but yet I cannot love him. She's like, it's not like he's a bad person, I just like am not in the position to love him right now. And Viola says, if I did love you in my master's flame, with which such a suffering, such a deadly life, in your denial I would find no sense, I would not understand it. So Viola's like, if I were Orsino, I wouldn't understand why you can't love him. I don't get it. Like, she's like, I would just live my life miserable, if you didn't love me back. And then Olivia's like, oh, is that so? And they start talking. Once Viola exits, you can see I have it highlighted in yellow, Olivia is talking to herself, and she says, unless the master were the man, how now, even so quickly may one catch the plague, which she means fall in love. Methinks I feel this youth's perfections with an invisible and subtle stealth to creep in at mine eyes. Well, let it be. So Olivia realizes she is falling for Cesario. So she's like, how easily people fall in love. So she realizes she's fallen in love with Cesario. And then Olivia says, Malvolio, I need you to go chase after him and give him this ring. So she's giving him a ring. She's going to lie and say he left it behind, but she's giving him a ring. It's like a promise ring. So if you guys don't know what that is, look it up or ask somebody, because she's giving him a promise ring. At the very end, Olivia says, I know now what, in fear to find mine eye too great a flatterer for my mind. Fate show they force, ourselves we do not owe. What is decreed must be, and be this so. So she's basically like, there's nothing you can do. Like, I have fallen in love with this person, and he needs to come back into my life. So the questions for this scene are, number 1, how does Malvolio describe Cesario? So we did go over that. And then question 2, it says, why is Olivia wearing a veil? We went over that as well. Question 3, how does Cesario get into the house even though Olivia isn't taking visitors? So you'll have to look up by where Malvolio describes him and kind of look and see what Viola did to get into the house. Number 4, what is the message that Cesario is delivering? And then number 5, when Olivia says, even so quickly may one catch the plague, what does she mean? So you have to figure out like what she's saying, but we already said it's because she's fallen in love. Number 6, why does she demand that Malvolio give Cesario a ring from her? So you have to figure out, what does the ring mean? Well, hopefully this helped. We're just kind of seeing the love triangle. We've got Viola loves Orsino, and then Olivia loves Viola, who Orsino loves. So we have a love triangle right now. So that's kind of just what's happening here. I hope this helped. If you guys need any extra help with answering the questions, just let me know. If you would please number the questions and label them Act 1, Scene 4 and Act 1, Scene 5, that'd be good. Because then when you send your work, I'm not like trying to figure out like, what is this? So make sure you try to label them so it's a little organized. Okay. Cool. I guess that's everything. So if you guys have questions, you know how to reach me. I will see you later.